The Qur'an not only distinguishes between these two kinds of Christians, the Qur'an also declares that the Jews will be most hostile of all to you, and that's what's happening today. If you are a Jew, and in your heart you have hatred and hostility for us, the Qur'an has already denounced you. But if you are a Jew and you denounce the government of Israel and the Israeli armed forces for what they're doing in Gaza, then you are my brother. You are my brother. The Qur'an has many, many more things to say that are of interest to Russia and to Orthodox Christian world. We're going to take a long time to do that. Wait for my book. The events which have unfolded in Ukraine have a background. They have not emerged by accident. There is a background to it. And that background is that the modern Western world have always perceived Russia as an enemy for 1,000 years or more. It's nothing new. And the Western world has waged war on Russia again and again. It's nothing new. And at this time, what happened in Russia in 1917 needs to be examined to be able to recognize to what extent the West was involved in the Bolshevik Revolution. In 1907 or 1908, I can't remember now, Britain and France, deceptively so, reached out to Russia, the traditional enemy. And they said to Russia, the Ottoman Empire is the sick man of Europe. And there is a great war coming and it'll collapse. We're inviting you to join with us in a triple alliance, which will facilitate the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. What they didn't say is we want you with us so your soldiers will be the guinea pigs fighting the war. And the people who will die will be Russians, not British and Americans. They didn't say that. But if you join with us in this triple alliance, we promise you Constantinople.
Istanbul.
Well, that is...
modern day Istanbul.
That is a new name for the city. But our prophet used the name Constantinople. So no one can stop me, not even you, John.
No, I'm just, for people who don't know Constantinople, I'm afraid.
No one can stop me using the name Constantinople, not even you, Chang. So, the Russians were so innocent, that Russia was too innocent, not this Russia, that they walked into the trap. They walked into the trap. And the Triple Alliance was established, and there was a secret clause in the Triple Alliance that when we conquer Constantinople, we'll give it to Russia. Good? And when the war began in 1914, it didn't take long for the Russian armed forces to take heavy losses, but eventually they were able to prevail over the Ottoman Empire. And when the Russian armed forces were an arm's length away from Constantinople, then these devils in Washington acted. They had promised Russia Constantinople, but they didn't believe that. This was a deception. So then Wall Street then financed and planned the Bolshevik Revolution. Wall Street financed and planned the Bolshevik Revolution in much the same way that the American CIA and the Israeli Mossad planned and financed and executed the attack on America on 9/11. I am not a politician, so I can speak. And on Judgment Day, the evidence will be there. I am correct. And so the Bolshevik Revolution took place in 1917. And the new people took over Russia, many of them Russian Jews. This is facts, this is not anti-Semitism. This is factual history. And the new Bolshevik revolution, the government, took Russia out of the war and published a secret part of the treaty that the France and Britain had offered Constantinople to Russia. This is what happened in the First World War when Russia was deceived, okay? And then a Soviet Union took over, which was an atheist state, and proceeded to try to destroy Russia's Christian heart. The monasteries were being destroyed. The priests and the monks were being killed in Russia, Christians as well as Muslims. But then came a period of time, maybe 60, 70 years, when the Soviet Union deceived them. They deceived the Soviet Union responded, deceiving them. And the Soviet Union secretly transformed Russia in a miraculous short period of time to a scientifically and technologically advanced state second to none in the world. And as soon as the Soviet Union collapsed, or I say folded their tent and disappeared into the night of history, Russia then began to return to her Orthodox Christian heart. And Russia today, thanks to the Soviet Union, is the dominant military power in the world. And history is now moving towards an alliance, friendship and alliance between Muslims and Christians. And I am at the forefront working for that from the Muslim side. I was in Moscow in February. I attended a very important multipolarity conference. And I was the only Islamic scholar invited to that conference. They recognized the merit of my eschatology. And they gave me a very high profile in that conference. I was surprised at the profile they gave me. And when the conference was over, then the Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, invited a small number of us to have dinner with him. A little more than a dozen. And surprise of all surprise, I was one of the group. And I sat down with them. I was sitting across the table from Lavrov. And he spent 2 hours with us. 2 hours. And with such grace and kindness, he never spoke Russian. The entire proceeding was in English. They recognized I didn't know any Russian. And he talked on politics, he talked on economics, he talks on BRICS and so on, until I stopped him. I said, let's talk about the Qur'an. And then silence descended on the dinner. And after some discussion, the Russian foreign minister then said to me, can you prepare a document? What does the Qur'an have to say about Russia? And what does your prophet have to say about Russia? That was February. And since then, I started writing a book, The Qur'an and Russia's Destiny. I might finish the book while I'm here in Malaysia.
Look forward to it.
The Qur'an and Russia's Destiny.
What is the sum total of those thinkings and those writings? What should we know about what's happening in the Middle East?
The Qur'an distinguishes between two kinds of Christians. There are those Christians who are destined to become closest in love and affection to Muslims. That's their destiny. This is in the Qur'an. And there are other Christians who form an alliance with the Jews, and they have NATO as the military arm. With these Christians who become closest in love and affection for Muslims, I'm working with them. But those Christians who form an alliance with Muslims, they are Christian people who have hatred in their hearts for us. And if you have hatred in your hearts for us, you have to examine your heart. Are you justified to have that hatred? If my people have oppressed you, if my people have done wrong things to you, and you have responded with hatred, I don't blame you. Can't blame you, okay? But if I come to you to denounce what the Muslims have done to you, and to support you, the oppressed, against my own people who oppressed you, you should open your eyes and recognize that you're not supposed to blame Islam for that. You must blame the misguided Muslims who acted wrongly. But if you persist in maintaining hatred in your heart for Islam and Muslims, you're on the wrong side of history. I can't have anything to do with you. We can't talk to each other the way I'm talking to you today, Chun. If you are hostile to my faith, and I cannot see any justification for your hostility, I don't want to see your face. Go your way and leave me alone. However, the Qur'an not only distinguishes between these two kinds of Christians, the Qur'an also declares that the Jews will be most hostile of all to you, and that's what's happening today. If you are a Jew, and in your heart you have hatred and hostility for us, the Qur'an has already denounced you. But if you are a Jew and you denounce the government of Israel and the Israeli armed forces for what they're doing in Gaza, then you are my brother. You are my brother. The Qur'an has many, many more things to say that are of interest to Russia and to Orthodox Christian world. We're going to take a long time to do that. Wait for my book.
So Islam is a faith of cohesion and of unity and of brotherhood, sisterhood, correct?
This is the religion of Islam, but Muslims seem to have lost Islam. Even here in Malaysia, they can beat as many drums as they want. When Islam came with Prophet Muhammad, Allah's blessing be upon him, it attracted the oppressed, the lowest people in the society, the slaves. They loved the religion of Islam. And those who were oppressors were terrified. Terrified. Today, the oppressors will take a photograph of a Muslim scholar and put it on a billboard 300 meters high on the road to the airport. The oppressor has embraced Islam and using Islam to oppress the oppressed. This is what is happening today. Where is that Islam today, which is striking terror in the hearts of the oppressor? Where is that Islam today which is attractive to the oppressed around the world? Yeah? You won't find that in the majority of your scholars and your muftis and so on. Very few there are today who preach that Islam, which is what Malcolm X used to do. That Islam which will attract the oppressed and terrify the oppressor.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that has happened?
Number one, because of a defective system of education, religious education. Number two, because of inadequate education. You are educated and you graduate from an institute of Islamic studies and you have no knowledge at all about modern Western civilization, about the political challenge which has come from the West, about the economic challenge which has come from the West, about the monetary challenge which has come from the West. You know nothing at all about that, and you are a graduate. So not only defective education, inadequate education. Thirdly, because he who pays the piper calls the tune. And for so many of them, it's more important for me to keep my job than to stand up for the truth. If I stand up for the truth, I'd lose my job. If I stand up for the truth, particularly in the island of Singapore, I'm going to be in plenty of trouble. I don't need to speak more on that subject. Okay? So we are living in a police state in which people are terrified that if I step out of line, I could be on the bread line.